All right, it is, well, 5:10, immediately-ish following the licensing hearings and Public Safety Committee. So I'll call the Finance and Personnel Committee to order. We'll begin with the roll. Alder Close. Alder LaFave.
Here.
Alder Decker.
Here.
Alder Perella.
Here.
Mitchell's here as well. We have a full quorum. Will you all please join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, then, per usual, barring objection from committee, we'll jump over item 4 for the introductions, and seeing no objection, move on to item 5, the approval of the minutes from the June 9th meeting. Any discussion on those minutes? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, the motion passes. Minutes are approved. Takes us into item 6, which was a direct referral of RO number 32 of 2526 by Director of Planning and Development Taylor Zeinert, submitting a memo summarizing the recommendations of Bold Path Consulting relating to the structure of the Planning and Development Department.
Yes, so first to point out a clerical error on bullet point 3, it has program compliance specialist. That should actually be building inspection service specialist. But to summarize, in 2024, Bold Path Consulting came on in and they met with staff to talk about restructuring and their experiences working here. With that being said, then Bold Path Consulting had given us a recommendation to move forward with 4 different roles: the lead inspector, the zoning administrator, the administrative coordinator, and deputy director. At this time, we would like to move forward with the 3: the lead inspector, the zoning administrator, and then the administrative coordinator. With that being said, you'll see that blurb there to fund these positions, the changes that were previously budgeted for the planning supervisor position will be eliminated. Therefore, these funds are now available. Any questions?
Alder Perella?
Just as a means of clarification, I thought I understood correctly, but please confirm. So the changes you are proposing are only, which I trust completely what you are saying. I mean, it's your department, so I trust it completely. I just trying to understand. Basically, there are 2 that the title changes, and then the first one is an upgrade, right? So it go from grade 14 to grade 15, and which means, of course, a change in salary, I assume, right? Which you explain afterwards. But those 2, associate planning to zoning administrator, and the second one does not.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Alder Close?
Here with the title changes, it looks like they're moving to a supervisory role as opposed to an individual contributor. Is that what I'm seeing here? I see associate planner to planning and zoning administrator.
Correct. So the current, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
The current model has 12 people directly reporting to the director position. Frankly, that's just not sustainable. So to have a structure where people feel free that they have more one-on-one time to connect with a supervisor is what we're trying to do here.
Thank you.
Alder Decker?
My question, program compliance specialist, what exactly?
Yep, and that's the typo that I had mentioned, the program compliance specialist. That's someone that takes care of the CDBG funds, the Community Development Block Grant.
Okay.
That was a typo.
Okay.
It is supposed to say the building inspection services.
Okay.
That role helps oversee, they are lovingly called the chaos coordinator, where they help with the building inspections and the permitting and things of that nature.
Okay, I guess my concern was as I was looking about compliance officer and things like that, I don't want to make sure, I want to make sure that that's still in the as a job title, so thank you.
Any other questions or comments from committee? I know this one's listed for possible action. We have the memo. Is there a motion we're looking for to approve these changes with this, or is there going to be a follow-up resolution to be acted on for those title changes?
I would guess a follow-up resolution, but I would defer to my colleagues that, no, that's okay. The question is would this need a resolution for a title change? I'm hearing.
Restating the question, we have the memo laying out the recommendations that are the recommendations from the consultant that the department is recommending are implemented. It's discussion and possible action section, but we don't have a resolution indicating the committee or council's intention to effectuate those changes. Can we make a motion on that? Or would there be a follow-up?
I can speak to that. Could you activate the mic?
Thought I did, sorry. Should be good now.
All right, thank you. So we met last week to discuss whether a resolution was necessary, and it was our understanding that as long as this change was budget neutral, that one would not be necessary as a standalone resolution. Instead, it would be bundled into the annual budget presentations once they have an impact on the budget. But if that understanding is different than council's understanding, we can certainly develop a resolution to bring forward on Monday's council meeting right away.
Sure. I was just looking to see if the committee needed to take any particular action on this one. Sounds like that is not the case.
No, we don't believe that action would be necessary on this one. This is just an informational memo with an opportunity to discuss. But if council wants to change that approach, we can look at that for you.
Sure. Thank you. In that case, I'll ask one more time if there's any questions or comments. Finance Director, I see your mic is green. Okay. All right, then we'll move on. Thank you. Next up is item 7, which was a direct referral of resolution number 43 of 2526, a resolution authorizing retaining outside legal counsel to represent the city in a quiet title action regarding the parcel number listed on the agenda.
Thank you. I can come up to the podium if you would prefer, but this is a matter where the city owns a parcel, or the city believes that it owns a parcel of land, which it has asserted ownership activities over for many, many years. However, when attempting to sell the parcel, some issues were found during the title search that call into question whether the documents necessary to convey ownership to the city all of those years ago were properly handled. So a quiet title action is an action in circuit court to ask a court to basically declare a particular action. In this case, we're going to be asking the court to declare the city as owner of the property and therefore legally allowed to sell it.
Questions or comments? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve on this one after Aldebrella.
Yes, we are seeking a outside legal counsel just because of capacity of our department or for other reasons?
I would say capacity and expertise. Quiet title action is a very specific real estate matter that I don't have personal experience with, but also our office is understaffed at the moment.
Very good, thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, then we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. That one is approved. Brings us to item 8, which was a direct referral of resolution number 47 of 2526, authorizing an amendment to the 2025 budget for the transfer of the remaining cash balance from the TID 1E funds to the Affordable Housing Fund.
Thank you. This item you have seen before for the other 6 TIDs that we closed several years ago. This TID, environmental TID 1, closed last year, and it has been our practice here at the city to transfer the remaining funds in the TID fund balance as soon as it closes to the Affordable Housing Fund to assist with programs and purchases, things like that, in order to help the affordable housing side.
Questions or comments on this one? Aldebrella.
Yeah, I have a curiosity. First of all, I'm very happy about that. But I also was wondering, did we extend that TID one more year, or there was no way to do that?
This TID was not allowed to be extended. There is state statute that requires certain types of TIDs only to be extended that year. We attempted, but this one was opened within that window of time that's not allowed.
May I, Chair? Basically, this amount is just a residual cash flow from that TID.
That is correct. The school district, county, and Tech College have already received their portion of it. This is the city's remaining amount.
Thank you so much.
Oh, they're close.
I'm really glad to see this money being moved over to the Affordable Housing Fund, but I would like to know, is this a standard operating procedure that you're following to move this money from the TID to the Affordable Housing Fund? Or is this something that is codified somewhere? Is there an ordinance that requires the TID funds to move over to the Affordable Housing Fund?
Sure, there is nothing in the code that requires us to do this. It really could be utilized for anything, but this has been the practice with the last 6, and so we brought it forward based on the guidance from Administrator Bradley that we continue that practice with council's approval, of course.
Thank you.
Questions, comments? If no more, we'd be looking for motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. That one is approved. Takes us to item 9, which was a direct referral of resolution number 48 of 2526, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the 2025 budget for the purchase of 834 North Water Street from Blue Moon Studio Incorporated.
Thank you again. This item, as you know, was approved last week through council, the purchase of the Blue Moon Studio. This is just allowing us to amend the budget to make sure that we have the funds to make said purchase. So it will be done out of the capital fund with debt proceeds. There is intention to potentially reimburse that amount at a later date, but we also wanted to make sure that we have the declaration of intent language, which allows us then by IRS rules to reimburse ourselves with debt proceeds when we come back in a few weeks with that.
Sounds good. Questions, comments? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. Takes us to item 10, which is a direct referral of resolution number 49 of 2526, authorizing an amendment to the 2025 budget to reallocate unused 2023 CDBG administration expense program funds to eligible park lighting projects.
I will take this one as well. The projects, both at Kiwanis Park and Wildwood Park were completed utilizing grant funds. We have unspent proceeds from our CDBG entitlement funds, so it felt like a responsible way to utilize those funds, complete the project, and they both are qualified projects through the CDBG program. So this was our attempt to both spend those funds and get a project completed.
Questions or comments on this one? Alder Perrella.
Which one? So Kiwanis and which one is the other one?
Sure, it's Kiwanis Park by the pickleball courts, and then Wildwood Park, which has the softball, so the parking lot there.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, we'd be looking for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. That one is approved as well. Takes us to item 11, which was a direct referral of General Ordinance Number 9 of 2526, an ordinance amending Section 2-469 of the Sheboygan Municipal Code so as to facilitate clear guidelines to payroll regarding the municipal judge salary.
Thank you. This is a straightforward ordinance, just providing clarification to payroll that the payroll calendar starts the first payroll cycle of May. This conforms to our other ordinances for elected positions, and upon research, actually conforms to how the ordinance was initially drafted for some reason over the years, the language was modified, and we're not entirely sure how, so.
Fair enough. Questions or comments? If not, we'd be looking for that motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. That one is approved. Takes us to item 12, which was the direct referral of Charter Ordinance number 2 of 2526. Charter Ordinance to amend the Charter of the City of Sheboygan related to the manner of selection and tenure of the city attorney. Did anybody want to speak to this one? Otherwise, I can a bit as well.
All
Attorney
right.
Majerus.
Hi, so I'll speak to this very briefly and just offer that generally our office has a conflict of interest to provide you legal advice on what to do, what is in the city's best interest here. I can answer some general questions about options and things like that. Attorney Nick Serwin is not available today, but he will be available at council. So if any questions come up today that I'm not comfortable answering, I can make note of them, and Attorney Serwin can be prepared to answer those before the full body on Monday, or following the next 2 Mondays from now.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background. This one might seem kind of familiar to everybody. The reason I asked to have this put back on the agenda right away is the proposed changes for the city attorney's position is, a multi-part process. It involves the job description, the general ordinances, and the charter ordinance. The charter ordinance itself only addresses appointing versus electing, which, based on the conversations we had at council, I didn't hear that there was, that particular portion of it was a subject of debate. Once passed by council, there's a 60-day period before that charter ordinance can go into effect. During that time, the job description that we had sent to council, the general ordinance changes that we had sent to council that will fill in a lot more of the individual details of how everything works can be worked through as we're in that 60-day period if this moves forward. So this doesn't have any details in it beside the singular change of how the individual who holds the position gets to it. Elder Decker?
Yes, I would like to put this on hold only because of the fact that Attorney Serwin is not here to advise us and I have some questions personally. I don't know about other members of the committee, but I have some questions for Attorney Serwin, and I would like to make a motion to hold.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on holding. Any discussion on holding? Alder Barilla.
I agree with that, with that idea. I had questions already, and I reached out to Attorney Serwin. However, and he made an effort to answer. However, it's still is not clear, and so I would definitely support that idea of holding it.
Alder Close, you were agreeing before? Chip? Okay. I guess my opinion would be that we've had a lot of background on this particular charter ordinance, and we do still have the opportunity to ask those questions at council, but I'm guessing I can read the tea leaves here and know that we'll be holding this one anyway.
I think it's imperative that we get this right at committee rather than sending it to council where it gets tweaked or something. Like we don't want to do like we did last time. I think that's not the right way to do it. The place to make the changes is here instead of at council. That's why I would prefer doing it here. So.
General question for the committee: what types of changes would we be considering for the charter ordinance specifically, not the job description and the list of general ordinance changes, but specifically this charter?
I guess is what I would like to see something in there where we have some kind of separate, as to who the city attorney reports to and how they report to them. That's my concern. I don't necessarily have it I'm not necessarily against them reporting to city administrator, but I would also like to have them have be city administrator or city administrator or something like that. So that's my concern on this one.
Thank you. See, that was exactly the reason of my confusion to start with, is that the way this item 12 is presented tonight, it is obviously only the chart regarding changing the role from elected to appointed. And on that, I have no, I know that I would approve that as we did already. I would. However, my confusion comes from the fact that a vote by the Common Council was expressed, although then vetoed. That though tells me that more discussion on this item would be appropriate. And if that is the case, I don't see when else or where else we can have this discussion. And we could have this discussion at this time if we had the opportunity of having more inputs and talk about it. So to have an actual good, productive discussion, this would be the time.
Thank you. And I can address that point a little. Because the charter ordinance is only one of the three pieces, and the only part that it addresses is appointing versus electing, I would say that those documents that we referred over to council, job description and the general ordinance changes, since those will actually be what effectuate the details beyond that, whether those are put on the council agenda or I imagine probably referred out to either committee of the whole or kicked back to this committee, that would be the time that we're going to have those more detailed, in-depth conversations, because passing those is where we are actually just making the decisions on those details. Attorney Majerus.
Thank you. Yeah, to reiterate what Chairperson Mitchell said, this document is asking the body to refer to council a recommendation to change the position from elected to appointed. All of the nuance that would go along with the position would be fleshed out in the job description and or the general municipal code provisions that relate to the position. The charter ordinance has a 60-day delay for becoming effective. So at a bare minimum, that would give you 2 months to work through all of the details that the council is interested in or committed in seeing as part of this transition before anything takes effect. This document is really just the standalone transition from elected to appointed.
Thank you. Alder Decker.
I guess my question is then why was it in the last resolution? Why was it stated in the last resolution? That's why that's where I'm confused. The last resolution had that in it. This one does not. So why the change, or what's the difference? I guess that's.
I can answer that one as well. I had them printed out side by side earlier today going through the original charter ordinance that came through this committee last month or weeks ago. It didn't have any details about reporting. The language as originally approved at committee was substantially similar to what we have in front of us. What we have in front of us includes further citation to state statutes, but otherwise it's the same language.
Correct. There was something in there in the maybe it was in the information packet then that came with it, because it had that listed in there. That's my quote, because there was something in there that had that in there.
The job description might have been listed under the same agenda item that time around?
Yes, it was. That is where the confusion and the question is. I mean, I am not against the ordinance change as far as that goes. I am for that. I just want to make sure that it is clear as to how we, what the table of organization will be. And I guess that's so.
I understand that entirely, and this time around, we do only have the charter ordinance without anything else attached to it.
In that case, I will vote against the hold and let it go through.
Would you like to rescind your motion?
I will rescind my motion.
Okay. Assuming I'm remembering right that you're the one that made it?
Yes.
Okay. Other close.
So just a point of clarification. So we would be voting on this charter ordinance today, which would be making the position appointed as opposed to elected. And at a later date and time, we would be voting on the organizational structure of this position. Is that correct? Or how the leadership is,
Yes, that's
or the job
correct.
description?
So when this was first presented, there were two items presented in tandem. One was the charter ordinance, and then the other was the general Sheboygan Municipal Code provisions, as well as the job description. Those items have been held pending passage of the charter ordinance. So if and when the charter ordinance is approved by council, thereafter, the other matter could be brought forward to whichever body you deem most appropriate for further discussion and amendments or passage or rejection.
Okay, thank you.
Alder Perrell?
So thank you all for the clarification. We went all circle, and yes, that is correct. Okay, so we are voting only on the Charter of Ordinance, and therefore that's fine. However, we have to admit it was confusing because it looked different than the one we talked before, and that is not the most, it's confusing. So, and also confusing to the public, of course. But Attorney Majoros, you said that it is possible we can come back to the subject of the details of the job description. Whose responsibility is going to be to bring that up? And is that something that is going to happen by which action? How do we make sure that that will be discussed?
So it was held in this committee. So it was not?
I believe it's on the Common Council docket.
Oh, so,
With a recommendation to approve.
okay. In that case, then council would make the motion to refer it to a particular committee for action or further discussion to come back to council on action, unless the council wanted to have the discussion right then and there.
From where, Chair, may I? I'm sorry. So from where would that be, make the recommendation to the Common Council? So today we approve this, which is just a Charter of Ordinance, changing the role from elected to appointed. Okay, this one is going to be going to the Common Council. Then when will the other part or the other option, and who is going to refer it to the Common Council? Who is going to proactively put it anywhere to be referred to the Common Council?
Well, the mayor controls the Common Council agenda, so if he is prepared to put it back on the agenda for discussion, that would be his decision to make. I would expect that he would make that decision in consultation with council leadership. And then as to where it goes from there or from what.
Very good. Thank you very much. And so, again, going back to Circle, I just want to close saying, I really hope that the mayor will consider bringing this item back to discussion, as this is an item that the Common Council has voted on, although he vetoed this decision. But I really hope that he will consider bringing this item specifically regarding the job descriptions and the detail of the reporting scheme for discussion. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, general discussion on this one? Was a good discussion. I believe if there's nothing else, we would be looking for a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, then seeing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it and the motion passes. That one is approved as well. Next up is item 13 for a presentation on the 2026 budget parameters for discussion only.
Good evening. So I am presenting on behalf of Administrator Bradley today, who after we presented the schedule, had a conflict. So I'm going to go over briefly what direction was given to the department heads and some items in the schedule just to draw your attention to them. If you have any questions regarding the upcoming budget schedule or parameters, please feel free to ask. So the budget parameters or the memo to department heads went out last Monday. They have been told mostly to keep it status quo within their budget. That meaning any known increases can be entered into the system, such as a contract increase for a service that's continued. For example, I always use the audit for finance as an example because we know we have to do that annually. For any additional requests, they have to fill out a spreadsheet that has the line items that they're requesting and a justification for the reasoning behind their request. In addition, if they are requesting any positions in addition to their current staffing levels, which is what we always budget with, is the current table of organization that has been approved throughout the budget process or by HR, if, again, like planning today, if there was an amendment that was approved that was budget neutral, that flows through to the next year's budget. This year, in order to have a request considered, the department heads actually need to work with finance, as in myself or Evan, in order to make sure that the calculations are done ahead of the request being made of how much cost there is associated with the position request. In addition, there will be the capital plan coming forward. We are still working through the update to the capital plan. We have previously had the 5-year plan where projects come and they just are brought forward on a project-by-project basis. We are working towards a more, we'll say, robust program where we're actually planning for future replacements every year so that when the 10 years come due and we have an item that needs to be replaced, that we have those funds available to replace right away rather than having it a request that comes project by project in that capital plan. So that is hopefully going to be coming forward with the budget, as you will see in October. I'm going to then touch on some of the schedule items. Today, of course, Administrator was going to present the budget parameters. You will see that on Thursday, Finance Department is hosting a budget training for all staff so that we can make sure that everyone knows how to enter everything and what parameters, again, are expected for the department heads. On July 7th, there will be the alderperson budget training. So we'll go through quite a bit detail of the finance components, including where our revenue comes from, how tax levy is calculated, all of those things. So of course, I encourage you to come to the training if you are interested. And if you have any questions or things that you want to know ahead of that, please, of course, feel free to reach out to me, and I can make sure then, too, that we cover those in that training so everyone is getting that available information. August 15th is the deadline for department heads to turn in their budgets. So at that point in time, the department heads will submit finance and administration reviews those requests and the budgets, and we meet with the department heads to try to understand what their requests are, what changes were made, and making sure that Administrator Bradley has the entire background before he makes any suggestions to the Common Council. We have on the schedule that September 15th, that's the Committee of the Whole Budget Workshop, and the full preliminary budget will be online. So last year we started by, about that same time, we started with last year being the first year that we did this, we posted the entire budget online with every line detail. So if you have it, if you have the time and you're interested in seeing every line of detail from the budget that the department heads are requesting, we do have that preliminary budget posted by September 15th. That does give Common Council about a month to review and ask questions of department heads or review and make potential suggestions for changes, things like that, before it's referred back to council. On October 14th would be Committee of the Whole approval, referred back to Common Council. And the final adoption would be November 3rd of this year. And of course, that's ahead of the tax bill preparation. So it is a tight deadline, but we have at least a couple times where we can talk through exactly what's in the budget and have any recommendations or changes come from this body.
Thank you. Any questions from committee? Other close?
You mentioned earlier that the direction was to maintain a status quo budget. Beyond that, is there any kind of strategy or overarching direction that you've been given beyond status quo for like prioritizing IT infrastructure or prioritizing public safety, something like that, that you've been given prior to the budgetary process beginning?
Sure, so there wasn't any specific items that were pulled out based on Administrator Bradley's guidance for the compilation of the budget. I will say that we have had annual increases to the transfers that go to the IT fund, for example, over the past several years to assist with the increase of technology needs and especially the cybersecurity as we went through the event of last fall. But there was nothing specific where it was public safety, for example, being a key area of focus, I should say. So we do know our preliminary numbers, which are very, very rough estimates at this point because we don't have our final assessments or anything like that. And we will say that like our previous budget years, it is going to be tight. And when we're trying to make sure that we're giving increases in salaries and there might be benefit changes that also have costs associated with them, we just want to make sure we're being the most diligent as we can with the taxpayer funds.
Thank you.
Alder Perrella.
You were very good in presenting the whole calendar, but will you send us the calendar, the possible kind of potential calendar?
It was on the council agenda last
Oh.
week, so, but I am more than happy to send it
Very good.
directly to you.
No, that's fine. So I can go back to that packet. I don't recall that. Will we be able to see what the department heads have asked before the decision of what ends up in the budget? To compare, is that possible to have,
Yes.
for example, the department heads ask this based on these justifications, but this made it to the budget?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be a record that we would be able to give to anybody who requested it, so we can make sure that you get that.
Upon request? That's fine.
It's up to
That's fine.
Administrator Bradley if he wants to present that in a different manner.
No, that's fine. Just to know that if I want to have that information, I have to proactively ask for it, right?
I would say, if you don't see it, you can definitely ask for it. It's
Very
again
good.
up to Administrator Bradley how he wants to get that information.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Alder Close.
And I apologize if I'm getting too far into the weeds here, but from an accounting perspective or from a budgetary perspective, how would risks such as inflation and things like that be taken into consideration during the budgetary process?
Yeah, if a department head knows kind of what they're up against when it comes to purchasing, for example, when the tariffs came through, that was a concern for a lot of our bigger construction or projects that have, let's say, a little bit more of a volatile cost component with it. So we asked the department heads to, utilize their best knowledge that they have in order to account for those. And then we also work with our purchasing agent who is in the finance department who has some contacts who could at least help us guide in the right direction if we know of something coming forward as well.
No follow-up, thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? If not, this one was for discussion only, so no action is needed. Thank you. And with that, the next regularly scheduled meeting date is tentatively set for July 14th, and we have exhausted our agenda and are looking for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. The ayes have it, and the motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.